such an asshole.
What's up? Late Night Cappy here with Moody Lighting. A little business tip for you there, kids. To be a professional podcasting, internet, blogging, mouthing off at the internet guy, you need a couple key things. One is a band-aided duct tape with paper towel because you cut your finger, right? Two, speaking of bands, you need a twirled up, not a flat. You need a twirled up blue rubber band on the microphone. Really doesn't matter. And then you need blue lighting. Okay, that's what you really need, the blue lighting, and then it gets all moody. And that's how you make millions of dollars on the interwebs, I think. We have requests, as always. If you have requests, you can email that to assholeconsulting.com, and I will answer it because I'm a cure. You mentioned that you have bad genetics and that you had a vasectomy. I've seen most vasectomy videos of yours, so that's not my question. My question is, what do you consider bad genetics? This year invoice fee. So this is an interesting one because inevitably it's going to parlay in a lot of your guys's and gals' decision to breed or not. And my reasons for having a vasectomy were largely because I didn't want kids. It was not a fun childhood, and that was just plain epigenetics, if you believe in such a thing. But like most people, and I understand, most people want to have kids. I don't, really don't. Like, nope, nope. I like food. I like shelter. I like financial stability. But I do have bad genetics, and they're not horrible genetics, but my family is very prone to cancer. I've lost a lot of older. I am now, what is it? I am the oldest in my family of the males to not have cancer. Several of my uncles and my dad are still alive, and they all have cancer. Anyone older than me in my family who's male has cancer. Thankfully treatable compared to 20, 30 years ago, 50 years ago. And I'm not saying, you're going to die of something. Somebody's going to die of something. So it's not that you wouldn't have kids. Oh, well, we're prone to cancer. Well, over enough time, everybody is. So what I did is I broke it down between things I consider genetic disorders, and if you'll permit me to migrate a little bit into nature versus nurture, nature versus your environment. I am inclined to believe or subscribe to the theory of epigenetics, where your environment will trigger certain genetics to kick in, not all the time good. And your environment can have an effect on your health, which I don't think anyone's going to argue with me on that. And I would argue that these environmental conditions and factors are just as important, probably I would argue more important than whatever your genetics may be, unless it's a horrifically bad genetic problem. So what I did is I've categorized them into two. First one is absolutely do not breed list. Like if you got this running in your family, whether it's an actual genetic biological disorder or an environmental thing, like don't have kids. Just don't have kids. Spare the kids the misery. You're just bringing a child into a torturous life. Don't do it, no matter how much you want the children. And then there's bad but not deal breakers, which I think everybody's got. Grandpa died of this, grandma died of that. Look out for this. Oh, I got cholesterol and all that other kind of stuff. But you should not deny yourself children if you want to have children, just because these diseases happen. All right, so absolutely do not breed. This is the do not breed list. Real mental illness. Okay, I cannot emphasize real enough. Right. Like real clinical depression, bipolar disorder, schizophrenia, chemical imbalances, addiction, though we'll get to that later. Real mental disorders. Not, I grew up in the burbs and mom and dad pay for everything and I eat all the time and I play video games. I can't find the girls. I'm depressed. It's like, well, you should be depressed. Ooh, I grew up in the ghetto and the government paid for everything. And I don't know who my dad is. And then I went off to college because they told me to go to college because that's how you get rich. That's how you empower yourself. And now I'm in crippling levels of student loan debt and I don't feel like doing anything. And I'm depressed. I have social anxiety. No, you should feel depressed because your environment crippled you. But you actually had dad was schizo. Like someone was institutionalized. Mom was always depressed. So, a lot of people on, like in real depression. Ask Jack. So we got that there. Alcoholism and drug addiction, again, is that a mental disorder? People would argue yes in some cases, but addiction in general, just don't do it. Mom was a drunkard, dad was a drunkard. Well, then you might want to think about having kids. Are you a drunkard? What is everyone on drugs? And oh, by the way, I don't just mean like hard drugs. Mom was on Valium in the 50s or 60s. Or maybe grandma. That's how long ago that was. Someone's addicted to painkillers, Oxycontin. Someone's addicted to Adderall, I think was the one that the kids back in the college days were addicted to. No. You should probably be having kids. Divorce track record. Does divorce run rife within your family? Well, then, and it does. Half of you, although people are now more cohabitating, so you never get to divorce. But if your mom and dad cannot keep it together, if nuclear families are a rarity in your family's past, you probably shouldn't have kids. Because you may think, no, I want the white picket fence and I'll be sad. No, you won't. Nope. There are demons in your genetic code that are just there. It's just not going to make it easy. It's just not going to happen. So if unstable, broken family homes, non-nuclear family homes are in there, no, don't have kids. Having kids early and out of wedlock that you can't afford. That track record. Aunt Thelma is on her fourth baby daddy with her fifth kid, and she never gets her act together. And mom, and you, okay, here, give you a hint. If you have half siblings or step siblings, you probably are not in the market to be a breeder. Okay, you're probably not in the market for that. And especially if your mom like, oops, I forgot to mention that you have siblings or half siblings in the past, probably shouldn't breed. Okay. I know I'm usually one of agency and control over one's life, but man, you just no. And usually this is not like, oh, your mom failed to mention that you have a brother or sister, half brother, half sister that she failed to mention. Well, if that's the case, there's probably other problems like your Poe. There's a lot of yelling and screaming and drama at home. There might actually be child abuse. Yeah. Child abuse. That's another one. If you're abused as a child or child abuse, no, you probably shouldn't do that. Probably is alcoholism in the family. These all kind of run together. There's a high correlation. Poverty, specifically generational welfare. Now, if your dad was poor or mom was poor and they worked their way up and then they're very stable, or they came to America with $3 in their pocket, they busted their ass off and whatever, ran a restaurant so that you could go off to college, that's good. That's actually really good. But if it's generation after generation of government checks and EBT and stimmy checks and, oh, it's the evil rich people, and I'm not saying if your parents vote Democrat, that's certainly not the case. But if there is a constant, like if your family got by only because they are parasiting off of other people, probably shouldn't have kids. Probably should not have kids. Alzheimer's, there's an actual real genetic disorder that, like, if you have Alzheimer's or if that runs in the family, yeah. And no doubt there's many medical people who know many other diseases that you don't want to have. I'm just going off the top of my head here with a little bit of research. And otherwise disabling diseases like multiple sclerosis, cerebral palsy, Down syndrome. And swear to God, people don't, I got a child. Good. I'm happy your child's alive. I'm glad you love him or her. No. For those of you without children, if some kind of other, one of these life debilitating diseases runs in a family, you really ought to think about it. And then also related kind of generational welfare and divorced homes and broken homes. If crime runs commonly in the family, maybe you ought to, your brother keeps running into trouble with the cops. Let's say you're from Casper, Wyoming. All right. That whole town should just not be breeding. Because it's all criminal records and meth and DWIs and punching your wife, who also happens to be your sister. This is probably. And if you need like, well, give me an example. Go visit Evansville, Wyoming. Go there. Go visit Casper. You'd be like, oh, these are the type. Oh, So if I'm like these people, I shouldn't breed. There's your answer. If you need a working model, an example of how, what not do. Then there's bad but deal breakers. It just right off the top of my head was like high cholesterol because of stroke and heart attack. And then cancer. But then I just looked it up. 21. And so these are the common ones. And I guess not all diseases are genetic or there's a genetic link, but let's go through it. So cystic fibrosis, alpha and beta thalassemias, sickle cell anemia, Marfan syndrome, Fragile X syndrome, Huntington's disease, hemochromatosis, heart disease, high blood pressures, Alzheimer's, arthritis. Okay, you can diabetes treatable, cancer, obesity. Okay, obesity, except for the 1 or 2% of you that have a glandular problem, that obesity is a choice. Smoking is a choice. Addiction is a choice. You want to get real dark? You want to get real black pill? Here's another reason maybe you shouldn't breed. If you're short and you have a son, okay? If and I don't know, because you don't control whether you get a son or a daughter unless you do the jet. But if all of a sudden you're like, you and your wife or you and your husband, are short, and it's a boy for now, I'd fly your ass out to China and turn it into a girl, or whatever country changes the genetics or the gender. You do not want to be, and you're 5'4" and your wife is 5'0". Do not bring a male into this world who is that short. Just don't. Just do not. It's dark, but imminently practical. Cancer, obesity, Turner syndrome, Klinefelter syndrome, Cri-du-Chat syndrome, or the cry of the cat syndrome, Leber's hereditary optic atrophy or eye disease, myoclonic epilepsy. That'd be another one to maybe consider, right? Mitochondrial encephalopathy, lactic acidosis, and stroke-like episodes. Rare form of dementia. Human genome, stuff like that. So there you go. I would even argue that your environment's probably more of a determining factor whether you should have kids. But certainly, I think you could do now genetic screening, figure out what you and your partner do or do not, have a propensity towards. So there we are. Any super chats? Let's go through the super chats. Oh, go dance the cha-cha or something. Go hike, go spelunk in a cavern. Athel Decade, being Chaparito equals horrible, just horrible genetics. You may have noticed I was dressed up a little bit because I'm going to dress up because I did all the work. I'm going to put on, and I just happen to have the jacket and the jeans. I'm going to dress up and I look good for a 5'8" guy. Yeah. Once you throw in that 5'8", ooh, look at his handsome face, And then, he's 5'8". It's like having herpes. It's very tragic. Just if he was 6'1", he'd almost be dateable, almost. But no, I'm just pretty boy Floyd. Boo-da-boo, boo-da-boo, boo-da-boo. Anything else? Scrolling. I think we're caught up. Hang on. Sammy Clemens, 5'1", half Asian, half white, slightly autistic. What could go wrong? I know, not to be dark, but yeah, maybe you should just adopt. Just adopt some poor young boy who has good genetics, going to grow tall. Mom, Dad, why am I so much taller than you? Well, son, hate to tell you. All right, there we go. Questions, answers, assholeconsulting.com. We'll see you guys later. Toodles. Oh, not yet. No, you see here, channel 18. $2. Hey, Cappy, I just pooed myself. Like up, lads. All right, there we go. All right, more on the way. Got lots of stuff to do. See you guys later. Toodles.